Thank you for joining me on today's live seeds. I'm excited to have you as people begin to join. Just feel free to join me in the comment section as we discuss today a very, very timely, I would say, topic, and that is the topic of peace. But I want to really take a different twist to the subject itself based on how it reflects on the world right now. And sometimes we look at chaos or war. We have national and international war, but also we have inner conflict as well. And when we see the manifestation of it, I mean, the translation of the physical manifestation of war, we have to really take time to analyze the result, analyze the cause rather than just looking at the fruit. We have to actually look at the root, and that actually would help us to deal with the fruit. It is to look at the inner war, the inner chaos that is manifesting in our world physically. How do we find peace in a world that is filled with chaos, in a world that is uncertain, in a world where rumors of war is no longer rumors but actuality? How do we deal with that? What causes that? We have to be able to deal with that, because once we understand the cause, it is possible to be able to deal with the root and be able to mitigate it in the present and hopefully in the future. Our well-being is dependent on our own peace and tranquility, is dependent on how reserved and how resolute we are and confident we are in our environment, in the space we find ourselves. So the question today will be, how do we find peace in a world that is filled with chaos? So today I want to discuss 7 ways that we can find peace individually. Because it is when we are peaceful individually that we are able to express peace outwardly. So, how do we find peace in a chaotic world? There are 7 ways to find peace. And these 7 ways, they are not really in isolation, they are more or less coherent with each other, they interrelate to each other. And the first begins with actually understanding the need to find peace. And that is, we must plan ahead and set goals for ourselves. Uncertainty has a way of destabilizing our peace. When we are not certain of where we are going, when we are not certain of who we are not certain and confident in the circumstance we find ourselves, we are disturbed, we are moved to express our anxiety, our disturbance, our disturbance and turbulence outwardly. And that's where you will see an individual that will wake up one morning and feel that it is acceptable to encourage and disturb the sovereignty of another nation, because he is not peaceful. He doesn't have peace in him. He is empty. So when you are empty, you're looking to fill a void. So in our individual lives, to prevent such a situation, we must plan ahead. We know of the expression evil geniuses. There are people that are good at planning evil ahead of time, but never taking that same energy and that same time to plan for the progress of their own lives. They are good at analyzing other people, plotting how to uh, bring down other people or bring down nations, but never taking that energy and that time to plan on how to build, how to engage relationships that is going to be prosperous and moving forward of a nation. So, the first way is to first plan ahead and set goals. The next is don't expect too much from people. We live in a world where there is no perfect human being on this planet Earth. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. There is no perfect human being on the planet Earth. So when you expect too much from people, you're going to have the guarantee of disappointment. You're going to be disappointed by people. It doesn't matter what. So it is important for you, in order for you to keep your peace, to not expect too much from people. One of my saying is that people will never disappoint to disappoint you. So if you understand that people will not disappoint and will never disappoint to disappoint you, you will hardly be disappointed. And that will protect your peace. So to protect your peace, don't expect too much from people. Does it mean that you're going to live in isolation and not relate with people? No, it doesn't mean you're not going to relate with people. It just means that don't expect too much from them, right? Um, be in a position of service, be in a position of value proposition and provision. In that case, you be the one that is trying to be the difference. But the truth is, we live in a world of cause and effect, meaning if you are constantly looking for ways to provide value, looking for ways to make difference in your world, such returns back to you. A man's heart is gladdened just because he found a way to give a hand to a brother. When you look for ways to be a helping hand, when you look for ways to be to be of help to individuals around you, you are creating a reciprocal energy that will come back to you bountifully. So be the one that is spearheading, making difference in your environment. Because when you turn that around and begin to expect so much from imperfect individuals like yourself, again, they will never disappoint to disappoint you. So to find your peace, don't expect too much from people. The third way to find peace within yourself is to take life one day at a time. We are living in a world that is very, it's always on the go. People are constantly on the go. People are constantly looking for ways to survive. And that is just human nature. It's the primitive nature, the primal nature of man that we are looking for ways to survive. And that has kept us on a kind of on the go wheel that we fail to not take time to really deconstruct what's going on in our environment and going on in our lives, and just take some time to slow down and deal with the moment. And in the absence of not dealing with the moment, what do we get? We have a situation of anxiety. We have a situation of worry. And these steal our peace. They steal our joy. They steal our happiness. So it is important for you to understand that it doesn't matter how fast the world goes, you are the one living your life. We're living in a world where imperfection rules. Therefore, things are never going to be perfect as well. So it is going to be very important for you, if you want to secure your peace, to slow it down just a little bit. It doesn't mean that you're not going to thrive. You're not going to strive to be better. You're not going to strive to be, to do, to take your life to the next level or be of impact with your life. But it just means that you just slow down just a little bit and take life one day at a time. And you begin to see peace rushing into your life. And that will manifest in your world in so many ways. And the fourth point here in these 7 ways to find peace is to remember that thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are not facts. Some of us are good with always thinking about things that are going wrong in our lives. We never see anything good. We are constantly looking for everything that is not working in our lives. And because our focus is directed towards the imperfections and things that are not working in our lives, what happens? Our peace disappears. We fail to acknowledge the majority of things that are working in our lives and to just come to a place of acknowledging that we can breathe at all, that we have life, that we can breathe, that we have health. There are so many people in the hospital. And even in the hospital, that there's still life, there's still hope that things will get better. So if one's thought is constantly gravitating toward the things that are not working in our lives, that steals our peace. And when our minds begin to tell us that things are going to go wrong, that does not mean that they are facts. That does not mean that they are truths. So it is time that we realize that our negative thoughts are not reality. You can wear a very white cloak and there will be a little stain on it. And the way most people are wired is that their peace will be stolen just by that little stain on that white cloak. Their day is ruined, their life is ruined, everything is ruined, life has ended because there was a little stain that occupied less than a percentage of the totality of the cloak. Not understanding that there are so many people out there that don't even have a cloak. So, and that is going to lead me to the next point. But I still really want to dwell a little bit on this very thought because the next point is the counter or the juxtapositioning of this same point of remembering the fact that our thoughts are not facts when they are telling us that the sky is falling. We found out from Chicken Little that the sky really wasn't falling, and the sky is yet to fall, and the sky is not falling. Remember, when the thoughts are negative, they are not facts. And the next way to find peace in our lives is to think positively. As a man thinketh in his heart, the Bible says, so is he. We've just talked about that our thoughts are not facts. So if we are thinking negatively, they're going to impact us negatively and steal our peace. So when we come to the part of thinking positively now, it's also equally that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The way you think, so you are. If you think negatively, your life is going to be miserable. You're going to attract negativity into your lives, because even how you express yourself definitely is going to lead you into situations that are chaotic, that are going to steal your peace. If you smile, you have a high propensity of getting a smile in return. But when you punch somebody, expect to be punched back. So at this point, when we think positively, we attract positivity into our lives. When we think positively, it's just the way God has created the universe that we'll begin to see things working together for our good. And the Bible says, for those that believe that things will be better, that believe that things will be great. You see, when you understand the power of gratitude, when you understand the impact of gratitude in your life, you see that gratitude is like the sunshine, the sunlight. There's no way the sun will shine at night. Darkness will never have a place to share with the sun. When you are grateful and think about the things that are working in your life, and think about the things that God has put in your life, in your heart to work towards, you find reassurance in everything that you do. What that brings to you is peace, is joy, is meaning for why you are on this planet Earth. So I'm not going to tell you that when you just think positively, things will just begin to work towards you. No, it is not about the thinking positively. It's about the application of the thought in your daily lives. Expect good and you will continue to see good. Expect good, you will continue to see good. Think yourself out of sickness. See yourself being healed. Think yourself out of loneliness. See yourself being in the midst of relationships, of companionships. Think yourself to a life that you deserve. There's power in your thinking when it is positive. Every wonder you see on this planet today was first a thought in somebody's mind. Can you imagine that two individuals, or one will have to start the conversation that somehow we're going to have to find a way to fly, and fly by putting some solid materials together? Can you imagine that? That we can fly like a bird. And I can imagine, only imagine what the Wright brothers went through, the kind of laughter and mockery they experienced when they were telling people we are about to do something that is beyond human imagination. But they believed and they walked towards it. And it became a reality. And we all using flights today from one country and to the other, and cross-continental travels. We don't even think about it, right? It's just what it is. It is because somebody thought it possible and they walked towards it. And lo and behold, it became a fact. And when you are able to engineer something that moves humanity forward, what do you think you have in your life? Yes, you'll find peace that only comes from the joy of contribution. So if you're watching, please share, 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 and share and share. And the message that I'm sharing here today definitely would be beneficial to one or two or more individuals. So feel free to share the video. And if you have any question in the process, leave your comment. I'll try my best to respond to the comments as well. So think positively. The next and the sixth way here for you to find peace in your life is to stop and reflect on the good things that are happening in your life. Like I said before, we have the high propensity of always looking for the things that are not working in our lives. And those things that are not working are really just minor things. Very seldomly are they major. They are just minor things in our lives that we can get over. That if not even healed at the moment, time will heal it itself. Right? So if it is not threatening your life or threatening the life of someone else or threatening the life of your family, that too shall pass. It shall pass. It is not worth stealing your peace. Stop and reflect on the things that are working in your life and be grateful for what God is doing in your life. Be grateful for what He has done and continues to do in your life. You have a roof over your head. You can feed. You are alive. Just think for a moment and realize that it is really going well in your life. Reflect on the goodness of God. Reflect on the gift of God. There is a question I ask people when they are in a place of ingratitude, when they feel, things are really not going well and the world is really caving in on them. And I ask this very question. What is the most important thing in your life right now? And I'm asking you the same question. I want you to really think about it as well. What is the most important thing in your life right now? It doesn't matter when you are watching this video. Before you watch to the point of hearing the answer from me, I want you to write it down and see if what I'm going to say is going to be what you think is the most important thing in your life. Whenever I ask that question in front of a couple, usually you go, either my wife is the most important thing, my husband is the most important thing, and the common one I get is my kids are the most important thing. I'm not saying these are not important; they are very important. But the most important thing in our lives is the breath that we breathe. If you can breathe, it means you can overcome any obstacle. I think it's Viktor Frankl that said, if you give a man enough why, he will be able to go through almost anyhow. If you are alive, that is the only why you need to move yourself from a place of anxiety to a place of peace, knowing that God is not done with you yet, knowing that there's there's unlimited possibilities in your life. But remember, you attract that which dominates your thoughts. Life is beautiful. What a gift we have to be able to breathe. And when we stop for a moment and appreciate our breath, we'll put everything else aside and refocus our mind on the possibility that only life can give. And the last point, the seventh point here, seventh way to find peace is to help others. Is to help others. I will talk about happiness later, but I think in the context of this discussion, it also, a lot of people will kind of akin into happiness itself. To find peace in your life, you must be of help to humanity. You must be able, you must be willing to help others. I'm going to give you the Douglas A theory of why the richest of times are mostly the greatest givers of time. They set on a journey whereby life is really uncertain and they are on the quest for their inner peace. And the world has sold them the idea that if they go after money, that they will find peace. So they went on this journey and begin to engage themselves in things that will bring value. And just the way God has constructed the universe, there are certain laws that moves God's hands. It doesn't matter whether you believe in God or you are an atheist. It doesn't really matter. But there are principles that pre-exist and continue to exist, that when you abide by those principles, the response are certain. So they go on a quest, and most of them created value that, again, helping others to make their life easier, better, or faster in any ways. And people responded with their money, and over time they accumulated wealth. And they still haven't they came to the realization that even with the money that they have, they still haven't found peace yet. And they came to realize that really it's really not money that brings peace. In other words, it's not money that brings happiness. But I will tell you something, it does help. I'm not saying it doesn't help. It gives you options. So because they have that option, maybe one day, because every human being has good in them, just the way every human being has evil in them. It is the monster that you feed with your thinking, like we mentioned before, that would dominate your life. And the good in them prevailed in that moment. And they did an altruistic act. And they gave. They helped somebody without expecting anything in return. And they felt this feeling that you watching me right now, if you've ever done anything altruistically, have felt one time or the other in your life. And that is the joy that comes from giving. And that feeling, there's the dosage of the dopamine that is released. There's nothing on this planet that you can compare it with. You feel like you're floating in the air. And that feeling is fleeting. And these individuals come to say, this is it. This is the happiness. This is the peace that I'm looking for. And because that feeling is fleeting, it goes away and we have to look for it again. And to look for it again, you cannot look for it again by intentionally doing things to get it. It really has gotten to be altruistic in nature. And they found it. That is secret to their peace. That is secret to their happiness. That is secret to joy was in giving, was in helping others. Hence, you find that the richest of times for generations now have been the richest of times, have been the greatest givers of times. If you are looking for peace, look for someone to help. If you're looking for fulfillment, look for someone to help. When you help, peace will never elude you. Those that help are helped inwardly, and heaven always smile on them. And I would like to end this session with you by saying that the author of peace will give you peace in every way, in all that concerns you. May the Lord be with you. See you in my next session. I'm Doug Leslie. This is Life Seeds.